Hey everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to be going over a whip pan transition in Davinci Resolve. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I have here two shots, and I want to have a nice whip transition in between these two. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my effects panel, and down under the effects drop-down menu, I'm going to grab an adjustment clip. I'll put it over my two clips and make sure that the edges of my adjustment clip are on either side of the transition between clip 1 and clip 2. Now, with my playhead here over my adjustment clip, I'm going to go ahead and go to this transition, and I'm going to count back 10 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to trim that and then go back, and I'm going to count forward 11 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I like to do 10 frames before and 11 frames after, just because I like to have one extra frame that helps me just in my own mind. I don't know why. Let's go ahead and put our playhead over our adjustment layer. And with that set, I'm going to now click into the Fusion tab. You know what's even cooler than a whip pan transition? Subscribing to this channel. So you can see that since our playhead was over the adjustment layer, this media in is kind of like a pre-comp or a merged version of our adjustment layer plus our two clips. So I can scroll back. You can see this is clip 1. I can scroll forward. This is clip 2. So now I'm going to go ahead and with my media 1 selected, I will shift spacebar, and that will bring up my select tool, and I'm going to type in transform. I'm going to add one transform, and then I'm going to shift spacebar and add in a second transform. Now, with this first transform selected, I'm going to come over to the pivot, and I'm going to set the pivot to 0. And then I'm going to put my playhead, let's see here, here's the transition. So this is the end of clip 1. And if I go to the next frame over, this is clip 2. So I'm going to set a keyframe on my pivot at the very end of the first clip, the last frame. And then on the first frame of the second clip, I'm going to change this pivot to 1. Now, what has that done? Let me go ahead and give some more screen space here. Well, you can see my pivot is all the way on the left-hand side of my screen for this keyframe, and then I move it, and it goes all the way over to the right-hand side. And that's because we are now going to mess with the size. Untick Use Size and Aspect. And now I just have X and Y. I'm going to put my playhead at the start here, which is frame 20 in my case. And I'm going to click X size. I'm going to add a keyframe. Now I'm going to go to the end here of my clip, and I'm going to increase the X size. So we're stretching it out to the right. And now watch as I move one frame over, boom. Now my clip is suddenly stretched out to the left instead of the right. And this is important because this transition goes from the left to the right. If you want to reverse that, you just reverse what I just did. I'm going to add another keyframe here. So now we have this stretching out in the X. And then I'm going to go 10 frames forward again, and I'm going to reset this back to 1. So this stretches, and now it stretches back like this. All right. Now I'm going to go here to my center point and go back 5 keyframes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I will select my transform 2. And I'll go ahead and add a keyframe where it says center. And then I'll move forward to the transition point. And then I'll move 5 more keyframes forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to change the X axis. I'm going to change this from 0.5 to 3.5. So if I zoom out here, you can see that my image has been moved over 3.5 times, but we still want our image to show up here. And so how does this work? Well, in Davinci Resolve, it's super easy. You just come here to edges and you change it from canvas to wrap. even though our main image is here, it's been duplicated back 3 times. So if I scrub through, you can see whoosh, there's this nice whoosh that happens. Now you can kind of see how our transition is looking. Let me hit the play. So things start to stretch, and then the transition happens, and then they stretch back to normal. Okay, so now let's clean things up. The first thing I want to do is with my second transform selected, I'm going to go to the settings, and I'm going to click motion blur, and then I'm going to increase the quality to 10. Now we have a nice blur going on. And then with this transform still selected, I'm going to open up the spline window here. And the first thing I always do is come here to the 3 dots and click show only selected tool. This is going to make your life so much easier. And then I will turn all of this on, click this little diagonal arrow here to see everything, and then select my 2 keyframes and hit F on the keyboard. I'm going to do the same thing for transform 1. I'm going to select it, make sure that I have everything ticked on, make sure I can see everything, and then select all of my keyframes and hit F on the keyboard. And now we have really nice, really smooth, easy ease keyframes. So now I'll go back to the edit page and let's see what our transition looks like. So that looks really, really good. And actually, I wouldn't change much. The only thing that I want to change is I feel like it's a little bit abrupt going from the stretch into the transition. So I'm going to put my playhead back over my adjustment clip, go back into the Fusion tab, and with my Transform 2 selected, I'm going to select this keyframe and just pull this handle further out and pull this handle further out. Okay, let's see how this looks now. Yeah, I feel like that's much smoother, not as abrupt. So that is how to do a whip pan transition in Davinci Resolve. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.